question is from Tax Free Mitt. What are your favorite pieces of old school bodybuilding wisdom when it comes to training and nutrition?
Oh, man.
I like this.
Yeah, that's a good one. Let me think. You know,
lots, dude.
Yeah, there's a lot of old wisdom that is kind of interesting. Like, they're not even studies to support it. Like, I like pyramid sets, which that's old school. A pyramid set would be like you did 4 sets, and what you did is you go up in weight, and then halfway through your work, the sets, then you start to drop down the weight. I just like the way it feels. It kind of matches my strength curve as I'm going through the sets. So that's one thing I like to do.
I like all the stuff that's been debunked. I still think it's got some value
Like
to it.
Cardio first thing in the
I
morning.
love fasted cardio. I love small meals. I love carrying the gallon of water around. All the things that we've debunked, and for the reasons that they were sold to you why you should do it. But I still think there's like wisdom in utilizing it. Like
it's all based on behaviors. That's
it
why.
is.
Yeah.
And that's the problem is, and that's why I really I still like to defend it, because we've now debunked that, right? We know that 6 meals a day does not speed up your metabolism, doesn't stoke this fire. The benefits of that versus if all things are equal, the same. But I have found with clients and myself, there's lots of things that help out by breaking the meals up. Yeah, it can be a pain in the ass. Do I think that it's a big deal if I don't one day? No, it's not a big deal. But I love that still. I love the idea of getting up first thing in the morning before I eat or do anything like that and going for a walk or getting on the treadmill and walking for a half hour to an hour to start my day. Not because it burns more body fat than if I were to do it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or whatever. It's kickstarting my day with movement that I would be sleeping in my bed had I not done that.
And you're more likely to be active.
Yes, and then it sets the tone for the rest of my day. So I love that. The carrying the gallon of water. Most people don't need a whole gallon of water, but what I have found that is when I'm carrying that thing around, it holds me accountable to be sipping on water all day long. So I like those things.
You know, my favorite old school bodybuilding wisdom comes from really old school bodybuilding before the golden era. Well, even before that, the golden era is often typically referred to as like the 70s, 60s, and 70s.
Yep.
But I like going back even further before the widespread use of anabolic steroids and hormones, because the advice that they gave, in my opinion, is more applicable to the average person. For example, if you read like Steve Reeves' workouts and John Grimmick's workouts and all these bodybuilders before Eugene Sandow, even he was at the turn of the 19th century, right? You read about what they would say, and they would say things like, "Don't train to exhaustion. Make sure that you have energy for your next workout. Practice your lifts." This is what they used to say, right? Practice your lifts often. They wouldn't even say go beat yourself up. They would say go practice. They all trained full body 3 days a week, very basic type routines, and they developed incredible physiques. So, and that wisdom applies today. I think, I grew up in the 90s and I would read bodybuilding magazines from the 90s, and it was all about extreme intensity with the workouts. It wasn't until I found the old school stuff that I applied that, man, my body really started to respond really well to some of that stuff.
Yeah, well, it was cool when bodybuilding had more strength components to like the competing side of it, where they'd have to didn't they used to have to do some kind of calisthenic routine or something along
the very first ones, it was like, you would do something physical and then you would do the posing.
Well, I mean, my favorite's the golden era, where they would you'd see them all eating like a huge amount of protein outside, then they go do workouts outside in the sun and get all the benefits from that. But yeah, I don't know, dude. I wasn't as much of a geek on bodybuilding.
Yeah, another one would be like old school bodybuilders would say, to bring out definition in your muscles, do lots of flexing and posing. So this was actually something that Arnold did, and before competition, he would, at the end of his routine, he'd flex.
In other words,
and pose.
isometrics have a lot of benefits.
Isometrics, right? But I mean, they didn't understand necessarily why it worked. They just know that they just saw that, hey, this works. But if you break it down, it's like, well, yeah, you're doing isometrics.
The only time I superset it was because of bodybuilding type workouts. So I definitely love doing that, and just hypertrophy in general. Like, it's such a different shift of a mindset.
Yeah, I remember reading old magazines, and Arnold would say that he preferred to work out his calves in barefoot. I like working out my calves barefoot. I feel better, contraction, whatever. It sounds stupid. Try it. Try doing calf raises barefoot. You'll feel
it's not that stupid at all. Imagine you working out with big old gloves, like snow gloves, because that's what shoes are like for your feet. You know what I'm saying?
Well, no, it makes sense now that we're experienced. We understand.
Well, and spreading your toes out and getting more nerve connections. Like, I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah. Yep.
There's a lot of old bodybuilder wisdom that unfortunately I think is people trash because of how it was communicated back then.
Exactly.
And so, they hang on the exact words that they use to describe or explain why they do it, and then they shit all over it with some controlled study.
Here's something, right? This has all been debunked. Like concentration curls build the peak of the bicep. Preacher curls build the bottom of the bicep. Hammer curls build thickness in the bicep. This is literally what they would say back in the day. Is that all true? No. But what is true is all of those different angles in combination in a workout is a great way to work your biceps. So the way they explained it was this works this part, this works that part, this works that part, which, if you look at the bicep anatomy, it doesn't really work that way. Yeah. However, if you listen to them and you just and you did those exercises, you get a full workout versus just doing the same exercise over and over again. So a lot of it has to do with the explanation.